All right, so here we go. Andreas here from Asia Mind Dynamics. Today I'm recording from Germany, as some of you might know. And we have a great and wonderful live show here. My room might be a bit echoey, but I hope you can still hear me. I want to welcome everyone who's here already right now. Thank you for being here from wherever you're tuning in. I do know that Dr. Björson is here. I saw other people joining in already from Kazakhstan. It's wonderful. So today we're going to talk about the 10 fundamental differences between the genders and why they matter. And as you do know, here in Asia Mind Dynamics, Andreas is my name. I'm always inviting those guests who go deep in understanding the human mind, the belief systems, and what it takes for everyone around them to understand themselves better and the world and the people around themselves better. As we go through this session here, of course, also, what I want you to do is type in instantly already. Of course, you do know the game. Type in add live or add replay. Type in add live if you are live on the show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Type in add replay if you're watching it as a replay at a later stage. It's absolutely fine as well. Most important, of course, is ask questions in the comments. I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to put it forward to our speaker that I'm going to introduce in just a moment. Like and share this video. Like and share this video because, hey, I think it's awesome, of course. Connect with each other. Connect with each other. So we have a couple of people here online already and the numbers are growing by the second. So connect with each other if you don't know each other. Now, as we are digging deep in this session here, as usual, please type in the comments if you have a deep insight. If you have an insight, something new, a light bulb is opening up in your mind, type add insights. If you think like, wow, that is an awesome knowledge, something new to you, wow, shifts your worldview, something. You can also type in add breakthrough. So we do know, I do know, and my speaker later on also knows, of course, that you had your insights as well. Who am I? Well, you do know, my name is Andreas. I'm running a company called Asia Mind Dynamics, where we are offering certified NLP practitioner training, hypnosis training to the public. What do we do with that one? We help people to break through their own limiting beliefs, negative emotions, help them to reach their goals and make their life a reality. So before I get started with our speaker, let me call her on stage, just a few more seconds. And then I'm going to introduce her and then I'm handing it over to her because we got a fully packed session here right now. So in just a second, I'm calling her up and you are going to call your friends. All right, so when I met Shelle for the first time, you read my post recently as well, of course, in LinkedIn. It was when I just became a trainer of NLP. And I realized, hey, neuro-linguistics programming, not sure if you do know that, but the key word in the middle is linguistics and how we are influencing ourselves, how we are influencing other people. And somewhere along that line, I realized my linguistics sucked. I'm really honest along that line. And I was frustrated, of course, with that one because I wanted to connect with people. I wanted to influence them. I wanted to share with them how powerful their mind is and language is. And one day I walked into a big bookshop in Malaysia, Kinokuniya, and I came across this book called Words That Change Minds. And I bought it. I read it. It blew me away. Desperately looking in the back of the book, I checked out who is the author, what is she doing, how can I reach out to her. I reached out to her. I flew over to Tuscany in Italy to first become a trainer with her of the language in behavior profile, words that change minds, and I totally loved it. So I became even a master trainer. In 2010 I was, okay? She's an awesome lady. She's rock star. She is like, has humor, fun, shares a lot, puts you on the spot, and she can read your mind maybe. So you want to have your questions ready for her. I'm gonna give over the setting to her in just a moment so she can introduce yourself to her. Please, guys, hey, who is here already? Let me just check it out. Sophia is here, Gopi is here, Yao Wen is here, Nixon is here, Dr. Yerson is here, 16 people online already. We need to have more people coming in here, okay? And you're from Malaysia, mainly Kazakhstan. I'm broadcasting from Germany right now, hoping that my internet connection stays. But I'm handing it over and say hello to Shelle. Please give her a warm welcome, Shelle Rose Charvet, from wherever she broadcasts right now. Hello, Shelle. How are you doing?
Hello, nice to be here with you, Andreas. I'm also in Germany. You're in Frankfurt, and I'm in Berlin. So,
Whoa, not
hello,
so far
everybody.
away from
Hello,
each other.
Jürgen. Yeah.
So yes, say something about yourself. You want to introduce yourself because you can introduce yourself so much better than I can do. And I'll simply hand the presentation over to you. Are you ready, Shelle?
I certainly am. Yeah.
Okay, let's do. We had stay online, guys. Please stay online. Shelle shares a lot. It's a 1 hour power-packed session, 60 minutes. But please, 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 please type questions in the comment box because it could be controversial. It could be in your
Yeah,
face.
I'm
It could be
hoping that you'll have some controversial questions for me. But first of all, I want
absolutely.
to ask everyone that's online, what kind of work do you do? Are you a coach, a trainer, a manager, a sales professional? Just type in the chat. I've got my little phone here on the side and I can peek and see what you're saying. Annalisa, hello from Malaysia, and everyone in Norshita. Please just type in so I get a sense of what kind of work you do for a living because I can adapt our content to what you need to hear.
No, that's
So,
already awesome. Good,
great.
Shelle, as you are talking about yourself in a moment, if you want, okay, I'm picking up what their profession is, and then we are sharing it, okay? So we have one corporate trainer, Sheila, my good friend Sheila, but
Yeah.
please, the rest of you, executive coaching, I'm handing it over to you. I'm just shutting up right now, okay? So,
Okay. So, if
okay,
people
here
want to
we
know a
go.
little bit about me, can I share my screen? Will you be able to put my screen on,
You are already
Andrea?
on screen sharing here.
Oh, we are. Okay.
Can you see
All
it?
right,
Yes,
that's
it
good.
is there. It
Okay,
is
super.
there.
So
It is.
this is me on a beautiful balcony in Spain, and I'm known around the world, in fact, for the book that Andreas talked to you about. There's a brand new edition that's been put out of Words That Change Minds, and Forbes chose it as a best management book for executives and entrepreneurs. And what it's all about is the fact that we think differently. Duh. I mean, that's not a surprise. But the way we think also influences the language we want to hear and the language we don't want to hear. And we all know that if we say or do the right thing, then people will get on our bus. But if we're kind of at two different bus stops, then that doesn't work as well. So that's what the book is about. Now, from the work I've been doing that comes from neuro linguistic programming, NLP, I put together a trainer's training in this profiling tool, language and behavior profile, which Andreas Dorn, you're a certified trainer and a certified master consultant in this field. And Yerjan, you're online. You're also a certified trainer. As I was putting this together, I was also researching some of what was going on in studies about men and women. And I realized that there is a whole lot of deep knowledge about the differences between how men and women act and behave and believe in the world, and that these patterns are just as important as the language and behavior patterns. And of course, a lot of people don't want to hear this now. They go, oh, we're all equal now. Well, really? Then the socioeconomic status of women would be different, both in Asia and in the West, if that were actually true. So, what we're going to do is look at some of the research and try it on. So, you'll have an opportunity to see where you are on these different models, to see what you agree with, what you disagree with. And more importantly, the whole purpose of this is to find out what do you need to do to have better communication, even if you're working with people who have different functioning models than you do, who operate differently. So if I can ask you now, just stick in the chat, what's one question or one concern or one issue about the genders, about men and women together, that you might want to make sure that we answer today?
Yes, and as we are waiting for your responses, Sheila is already asking, or Sheila is asking, is it possible to get a copy? Of course, Sheila, go to a bookshop or order it online.
Yeah. Oh, and I think you might actually be asking of the PowerPoint, and I will send to Andreas a PDF summary of what we're doing today. So you don't have to
Okay.
frantically take notes. You can actually actively participate, which would be great. Okay. So, and yes, Words That Change Minds, you go to Amazon, it's available. Ebook, audiobook as well, for those of you who like to listen. You'll hear my dulcet tones. And then then there's the paperback, of course. Market analyst, money coach, thanks Nixon. Public servants, thanks Sylvia. Sales manager, John. Okay, great. Executive coaching, super. Okay, so let's, as we're thinking about the fundamental differences between the genders and why they matter, let's start. I want to start by telling you that something that happened to me a few years ago. I joined an angel investor group. Now, you may not know what an angel investor group is, or you may know it. It's a group of people who have some cash that want to invest in startups and small companies that are growing. On American television and British television, you see Dragon's Den and Shark Tank, where people come and make a pitch, as it's called, to people who could possibly not only invest, but help them succeed. There's about 100 people in the area where I live in Canada. And I joined this investor group, and I used a lot of my neuro-linguistic programming, lab profile skills to help our group decide which companies and which founders we wanted to invest in. And after the first year, I joined the board of directors of this volunteer organization. And I contributed a lot because of the knowledge I have in below conscious psychology. I helped reorganize and restructure our meetings. I did a survey to determine the unconscious needs that people have in the organization, and spent a lot of time on this. Well, come a few months later, I had to resign because I was traveling so much for my work. It was just a limit to how much you can get up in the middle of the night to attend a board meeting. So regretfully, I sent in my resignation. A few months later, we had our annual general meeting, and it's a huge gala where we showcase all of the companies we funded. We give out awards, and I knew there was going to be a meeting and a big thank you, and I wanted to impress some of the local movers and shakers in my community because of some of the projects I was working on. And we had the meeting. The executive director of our angel group got up and she said, and we have to thank two people who left our board this year. One, and she mentioned the president who had to step down because she listed all of the accomplishments that the former president had contributed to the organization. And I'm sitting in my seat thinking, oh, cool. Now she's going to say lovely things about me and all the things I've contributed. And she goes on and she says, and I'd like to thank Shelle Rose Charvet, who had to resign because of her extensive travel schedule. What? What? Am I chopped liver? He gets a whole list and she travels too much? I was outraged. I was shocked. This was the last chance I was going to have a personal appearance that looked very credible in my circle, in my local area. Oh, I was fuming. And I was still complaining a few days later, whining and moaning perhaps. And I complained to a couple of friends of mine. And I told them what had happened. And the wife, she was just as outraged as me. You're kidding, she said. But the husband got that weird dog whistle look on his face. You know, when dogs hear that whistle, they kind of do that. And he went like this. And he looked at me and he said, but Shelle, I don't understand. When you sent in your email resigning, why didn't you simply make a list of all the things that you'd contributed? So that's why we're talking about these 10 differences that can stop people from working effectively. And today we're going to give you two powerful models that you can implement right away in your work and even your personal life as you uh, improve your way of communicating and as you test some of this out. Let's get started. Metaphor alert. Do you use a Mac or a PC? These are two types of operating systems for computers. And the weird thing is that even though they do similar things, they're operating systems, and an operating system provides the rules based on what is important of how something functions. People either love their Mac and hate PC or love their PC and hate their Mac. Like, why is that? Two operating systems can generate so much emotion. I'm never going to use a Mac. You can't get me back on a PC. Yeah, I'm a PC too, Agnes. Yeah, except for my iPhone and my iPad. So, what we're going to talk about are two operating systems that I like to call the traditional male model and the traditional female model. And the reason we call them traditional male and traditional female is that even today, all around the world, Asia, in the Americas, and in Europe, most boys are brought up to follow what I call the traditional male model, and most girls are brought up to follow the traditional female model. Even though there are men now who use the traditional female model, and there are now women who use the traditional male model. I'm going to show you how to detect who's using what model and when, because these models are very contextual. They are influenced by your culture. Like, what was the culture you grew up in? What is the corporate culture that you live in when you go to work? They also change by context.
Shelle, let me
Don't,
interrupt you. Let me
sure.
ask the audience, are you ready for the learning parts? If you are ready for the learning parts, then Shelle can have a sip of water in the meantime. Just type in, yes, I am ready. So we do know that you're really ready to understand the traditional male and the traditional female model. If you are ready, just type in, I am ready. Before that, otherwise we're just sitting here and drinking coffee, okay? And more people are joining us in the meantime. Anyway, we have about 18 people watching right now. Okay, Sheila saying that to hear this when we are a month away from 2022. Yes, absolutely. Adrina is saying, yes, I'm ready. Agnes is saying, yes, I'm ready. So we got two ladies ready. Is any of the guys ready? Who's ready? Catherine is saying, yes, ready. Who else is ready?
John,
We have ladies saying, the ladies are ready. Sophia is saying ready.
well, John's ready too.
Annalisa, sorry,
Yeah.
what you're saying?
John is also ready. Don't leave him out. Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen John yet. John, type in you're ready again because I haven't seen that yet, okay? I can only see up to Annalisa. Okay, Gopi is saying yes. Nixon is saying born ready.
You were born
So yeah,
ready.
I think I
I'm
gotta
starting to
figure.
hear music in my head now. Yeah.
You hear music in your head, okay. So I gotta figure out where you were right now with the presentation. I lost the slide. Where is it? Where is Shelly? Where is Shelly? Me alone. Shelly, here we go. Okay,
I
then you gotta
haven't
share.
moved. I'm still here. So,
Okay, then you are over back to you, and we can share about the male and the female traditional models influenced by culture. And I'm expecting questions from you guys.
yeah,
All right, over to you,
absolutely.
Shelly.
Now, one of the things you're going to get out of today is to be able to find out which model you operate from on the 10 differences. So you can see how much you operate out of the traditional female model or the traditional male model. And I'll be referring to some of the research that has been done in these fundamental differences as we go through. And you'll begin to see it's not black and white, it's not either or. There's a whole continuum, and you may be somewhere in the middle on some of these things, but it affects how you work, with whom you work, what kind of work you like, and what kind of work you're good at, and what you might suck at as well. So it can be very insightful, and I hope you'll use what we're doing today to meet your goals a little easier as you're working. The impact of not knowing these male female models, it means that if you don't know that people are operating out of these deeply unconscious models, you may not be able to have authentically connecting relationships with some people. Some people, when they don't understand the differences, get easily hurt by offhand remarks, and other people, nothing bothers them. Number three, it's hard to understand why some people seem to be just playing games when there's important work to be done at work. And I know some people, and I'll give you some of these examples, who end up doing other people's work because they can't stand it when people just do a shoddy job or something that's only good enough. So these are some of the things that we're going to look at. And even deeper and more important is some people will work very hard for years and years doing excellent work, but they still deep down don't feel they deserve the recognition and the reward that they truly want. Some of
I
these
am.
unconscious things are going to be, we're going to talk about today. So I have a question for everybody right now. What do you want to know about the other gender model? What do you want to know about the other gender model? Why do men? Why do women? What are the questions that come to your head?
What is something, yes, please, audience, share with us basically why, what is something you really, really want to figure out? And Shelle, you just showed the slide earlier. I am clearly at number 4. So many times I realized, hey, I want to do somebody else's work because I just couldn't stand what I got delivered. I had different expectations, different standards, and I want to push it harder. I took over, and sometimes they go home. They go home while I keep updating and upgrading their work, and it made me like feel shitty sometimes even, you know.
Exactly. And we're going to be talking about exactly what makes that happen. What makes that happen? Now, the reason I talk about these traditional models is because although most women are brought up to have the traditional female and most men the traditional male, we do see a lot of switching. There's a lot more flexibility now. Women are stepping into leadership roles. They have to get good at some of this male stuff. And now in corporations, we're saying, well, we value how women think and how they work together. So men are having to learn some of these things as well. So let's figure out what these differences are. The very first difference is about what we call operating metaphor. An operating metaphor is the answer to the question, life is like a what? And you may remember Forrest Gump. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Well, most people, the answer to that question is a deeply unconscious question. So what the research has shown is that typically men and typically women have totally different operating systems, operating metaphors, which is very much like the analogy we did with Mac and PC. They're operating systems. The traditional male model, life is like a team sport. And what that means is if you believe, even consciously or unconsciously, that life is a team sport, then the goal of this metaphor and your life is winning. And if winning is the most important thing, it's okay to bend or break the rules as long as the referee doesn't see it. So that's the traditional male model in a nutshell in terms of operating metaphor. So, in baseball, I don't know if in Malaysia you play baseball. I know in Japan it's played a lot. One of the most highly prized things that you can do as a player is to steal a base if you can get away with it. And the most important thing is it's a game. So the traditional male metaphor, life is like a team sport. It's a game and you play to win. The traditional female model is quite different. The metaphor for the driving metaphor, the operating metaphor, is life is not like a team sport. Life is like a traditional classroom. Now, if you're not sure if this is you, check this out. Here's what you believe and what you do if your metaphor unconsciously is life is like a traditional classroom. Well, you believe if you work hard, you're going to get ahead. You believe the rules have to be followed. Cheating will be punished. Like if you download an essay and hand it in, that's going to be punished. And lastly, failure is a disgrace. Your family doesn't want you to fail. So you can probably see some of these elements in your own work. Another difference, if your operating metaphors, life is like a traditional classroom, you get evaluated as a student. So if you fail an exam, You fail. You're a bad student, and it's not a game. There are real consequences if you don't succeed and if you fail. So you can see the essential operating metaphor between male and female is it's a game or it's real. So should we take a couple questions, Andreas? You want to pick a couple? They're going by too quickly for
Oh,
me. Yeah.
I gotta lost you a moment. Give me a moment. I gotta set you in that you can come back here. So you are back here. Yes, we have got a couple of questions which actually
Okay.
very nicely relate to what you said right now. So how many questions can you cope with, Shelley?
Well, let's just start with one and we'll go from here. Yeah.
Okay, we are starting with Sheila asking the question, why are men afraid of successful women, especially husbands? Hui.
So if life is a game, let's just try this for a minute. I'm going to run this by you. It may not fit all cases, but let's say for the people that are afraid of having a successful wife, if they're a husband, if life is a game and your job is to win and your wife is doing better than you, then you're not winning.
I gotta bring her down, okay? She's crashing my self-belief, my
Oh
education.
my
I'm
God, yeah.
supposed to be the
Because if
strong
there's winners,
guy.
there's also losers. And yeah, exactly. If life is a competition or a team sport, there's only one winner. So hopefully that
Oh,
helps. We're going to come back to this a little later. Let's take one more question and then
oh,
we'll move
Sheila, that
on.
was an easy question. Now you have the answer of all your life answered in one sentence. My goodness, okay? Um, Nixon is asking, why do women keep their feelings and decisions to themselves without sharing it and later resent and bottle up?
Oh, you mean the women you know don't talk about their feelings?
I don't know. Nixon is a good guy, but maybe the women around him keep to their feelings. Okay.
Okay. Well, women have been taught that it's not okay to show anger. So if they're angry about something, they try not to show it. And it's the same. Boys in the traditional male model have been taught not to show sadness or hurt. So they're very good at showing anger, but not so good at sadness and hurt. Whereas girls grow up to feel it's okay to be hurt and sad, usually, unless somebody you can't talk to them about it. But it's not okay to be angry. So that women tend to bottle up anger, and you know what happens when you keep adding pressure in a pressure cooker.
Exactly like this.
Exactly.
We have one more
Okay, let's go
question.
on to the other differences now, and we'll come back to some more questions. This first fundamental difference in the operating metaphor, it's a team sport, it's a game, it's a traditional classroom, it's real. This number one fundamental difference underpins all of the ones that come next. And you'll have a chance to see where you are on each of these dimensions. Could be different for you at home or at work. Difference number two. So it's about how you go about assessing risk. So I'd like you all in the chat right now to answer that question. What is a risk? Like, what
Wow.
is a risk? What does it mean? What does that word mean? So if you can put your answers in, and then we're going to decode.
Now that is exciting. Okay, guys, you got to participate here. Otherwise, we don't know what to do away from motivation. Okay, we want to reach out to people succeeding here ultimately and learning something new. So, what is risk? Type it in, assess your own risk. What is a risk to you in your life or in your
What's
relationship
your
or
definition of risk? What is your
oh, your
definition?
definition, the definition of
Yeah,
risk.
what
Okay,
is a
what's your
risk? Yeah.
definition of risk? Please, ladies and gentlemen, participate. Can we say still, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please participate. All right. What is your definition of risk? So that Shelley can decode what you are thinking, and then you see the power of that overall stuff. So, Sheila, Yerson,
Okay,
Dr.
thank you,
Yerson,
Adrina. Thanks,
Nixon, Richard.
Kamal. Yeah.
I can't see
Okay,
it.
Sunil,
Okay,
thank
Yerson
you.
saying, you see some answers?
Yep, yep. I've got my iPhone on here. That's why.
Oh, your iPhone might be faster than my iPad. So we got Sue saying
Okay.
risk is something that you might lose. Noshila saying risk taking a chance on something.
Oh,
Agnes
very
is saying risk is a
interesting.
potential pit hole.
Possibility to
Hoyen
hurt.
is here possibly to get hurt. What say you, Shelley?
Okay, Nixon going ahead with something which we're unsure of the outcome. Level of danger. Risk equals exposure to danger. Equals being hurt. Very cool answers. Now let's look at what the research shows. In the traditional male model, as you can see on my screen, I'm wondering, Andreas, if you can move the screen a little bit because for some
This
reason
is not possible. I can't. I'm moving it here
Okay,
right
all right.
now,
Well, I
but I
figure
think
that
it's
you can read
okay.
it. In the male model, risk could be a danger or an opportunity. You could win or you could lose. And some of you answered that way. Risk is also in the future. So people from the male model, when they evaluate risk, they possibly look at what could we lose, could we win, how do we need to play it to get the advantage. But they're usually future oriented. They're not thinking about the present. The difference is in the traditional female model, risk means danger. Avoid it if possible. And when you're in this mentality, you think about what you could lose in the present. Like you might hear someone say, well, if it didn't work out, we would lose our house. If it didn't work out, all my savings would be gone. Whereas someone in the traditional male model will say, well, we could earn a lot of money if we did it this way. Like we might lose, but there's a possibility we could win. Now imagine a couple or teammates discussing a big decision that involves a lot of finances. One is operating in the future, one is operating in the present. You can see that if you're actually going to do a very good risk analysis, you've got to do both. You can't just do what are the possibilities we could win or lose in the future. What are the actual dangers that you could face if it didn't work? Right? So now you can get a chance to see where you were about risk. Now, this may not be about how you are at risk all the time. You may switch or be somewhere in the middle, depending if it's talking about investing for retiring, buying a place to live, investing in equipment, taking a holiday. You could see all of these things. You may be on one side or the other or in the middle. And if you want to assess risk really well, zoom out and make sure you're looking at both dangers and opportunities in the present and the future.
Awesome.
So here's just a couple little pieces of research. Paul Bentley, who's doing a study in Australia, found that female entrepreneurs tend to be more risk averse, but it enables them to position themselves better for long-term value. And in fact, failed businesses more are men owned than women owned, according to research in a number of different countries. And one of the reasons is women don't want to invest money if they don't know where it's going to be paid, much more than men who go, but we need to invest to earn money. So you can see that there's pluses and minuses for each one of these. Now, another interesting study from Harvard, who gets the venture capital money? Well, female entrepreneurs own 38% of all businesses, but they only get 2% of all venture capital. Now, the reason why is a little interesting. When they go to get money, female entrepreneurs are asked how they will avoid losing, how will they avoid failing. And male entrepreneurs tend to be asked, what is your plan for achieving your goals? Or in other words, what's your plan for winning? So here's what we suggest. This is what I suggest of how to get the money. If you're going to get investment from someone and you're asked a problem-focused question by your investors, how will you avoid failing? What will you do if this screws up? Start briefly on how you'll avoid the problem, but quickly shift to demonstrating how you will achieve your goals. Because if they continue to see you as trying to avoid failure, they won't invest in you. Hopefully that's a hint whenever you go to propose anything to a client. Maybe you're a trainer or a consultant and you propose something to a client, or you're a salesperson. Think about that. If they ask you problem-oriented questions, start there, but then go back to how you'll achieve the goals for them. Hopefully that helps. Was that useful? Can you stick a thumb in the air for me? Yeah.
Yes, give her a like, give Shelley a like, so you do know that we do know we are all on the right track with her. If you get something out of it so far, okay. So Sheila is saying like she understands why she's clashing with her daughter. Nachra is
Ah,
online as well,
yeah.
somewhere else. Taking risk is taking a chance on something you could win or lose. So yes, I think there's value coming up, some hearts coming up, some likes
Yeah.
coming up. Thank you so much for that. Guys, give Shelley a little bit of a support along that lines that she knows she's on the right track here as we continue in our journey understanding the male and the female model and how it's
Okay,
influencing
here
us
is
in our
another,
life.
sorry, Andreas, here's another question for you, everybody. How good does your work have to be? I mean, really, how good does it have to be? Can everybody just stick in a couple of words in answer to that question? How good
Oh,
does
how
your work
good
have
does your
to be?
work need to be? Please type it in, guys. How good does it need to be? Is it high level or low level or average, or are you want to have it perfect? What is it that you want to have in your work? I want to have as good as possible. I'm typing that in. Possible. I have to type correctly. Okay, to fail, Nielsen Nixon is saying, okay, to fail, need to make sure failure is minor in magnitude. I like that. Failure is minor in magnitude. I like that statement actually. Dr. Yerson, I
Yours
hope I
has to be
pronounce.
good enough. Yeah.
Yes, Yerson is saying good enough. Doctor, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. My apologies if not.
Yerjan,
So
yeah. And, Andreas Yerjan is also a certified lab profile consultant, trainer, coach, like you are. So
all right, Yerson, we got to connect, okay? Better than your past performance, as Nixon was saying.
better than your past performance. Love it, Nixon. That's cool. Fix the
Agnes is
problem
saying
and
fix the
find the
problem.
solution. Thanks, Agnes. Yeah.
All right. Agnes is an insurance expert, actually. Nixon is in financial investments. So we got quite interesting people. We got
Yeah.
Kamal
Yeah.
here. He's in co-share looking at as long as it looks, as long as we are passionate enough with our work. Okay, that's an interesting
So,
answer.
Kamal, how good does your work have to be? Is being passionate sufficient? How good does your work have to be?
Yes, Kamal, question over to you. Maybe you can contribute and answer the question. Dr. Ali is here. My work has to be of higher value than what my clients pay for. He's
Okay.
in a
What kind of work,
hair.
Ali, do you do? Yeah.
He's in the hair business, hair
Oh, I could use
transplant.
some help in that field, as you can see. Definitely. Yeah.
Your
Me
hair
and
is
my
awesome, Shelley.
anti-gravity
Okay,
hair.
I hair transplant doctor specifically.
Yeah. Ah, okay. Well, I don't need any more.
So okay, Kamal is
Has to
saying
be very
has to
good.
be
Thank you,
very
Kamal.
good.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's look at what the traditional male and the traditional female models have to say. And remember, all of this research was actually done on women and men. But I know that we're a little bit more flexible, so that's why I call it traditional male and traditional female. And you get a chance to see where you are. In the traditional male model, your work has to be good enough. Remember, you're trying to win, you're trying to get ahead. And in the traditional female model, because you are being evaluated as a person, it has to be perfect. I know the executive director of a technology association who keeps redoing her employees' work because they're doing it to a good enough standard, and she can't stand that. She can't stand seeing anything wrong with it. So she ends up spending hours and hours after work redoing their stuff, and she can't get them to understand why it's so important. Well, and remember that it's personal. If your work isn't done right, you're going to be negatively evaluated. And one of the things that happens from this is if you're deeply in this model of it's got to be perfect all the time, you can risk ending up spending too much time in the details and forgetting what was the purpose of this. Why are we doing it? There's some advantages of doing good enough, standard to good enough, because you can keep your eye focused on the big picture. But if it has to go in front of a client and it has to make you look professional and your image and your reputation is at stake, maybe then it does have to be perfect. The question is, if you zoom out, what's the purpose of this? Therefore, what do I need to do? And when you're in the traditional female model, you'll know, oh, it feels like it hurts if you don't get the opportunity to make sure it's done right. Yeah. So now I'm going to ask you another question. We're not going to do breakouts, but Here's a question for everybody. How do you feel when you are about to do something you've never ever done before? Let's just put in a few words. How do you feel when you've done something, when you're about to do something that you've never done before? I don't think LinkedIn has breakout rooms in their live feed, so we won't do
So
that.
we don't
But
have
you
breakout
can
rooms,
have
so you
a,
got to stay here, guys, and write it down. Okay. So how do you feel when you do something you've never done before? I personally become very cautious and work my way through step by step into the area of the unknown, so to speak. When I do,
so
what
you
I
say
say
you feel
myself
cautious. You
coming
feel
in,
cautious. What's the actual emotion that you're going through, Andreas?
um, kind of a mixture between worried and excited.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Worried it might
You've got
mess
people
up, and
coming in.
excited when I succeed.
Yeah. Must be very interesting, anxious, procrastinate for a while. So Sue Min Bai, when you procrastinate, how are you feeling when you procrastinate for a while?
Now Sheila's saying anxious, Yao Wen is saying anxious, afraid but excited. Hey, Dr. Ali is following me. No, I said cautious or worried but excited. Interesting. I wonder if there's a
Yeah.
similarity when Shelley is deciphering us.
Okay, yes, I am. So this is difference number 4. How do you feel when you do something you've never done before and you're about to start it? Doing something new. Let's look at the models. So
Shelley, there's
traditional
still some
male
comments
model.
coming in. Can you still see the comments coming in?
Yep. Depends
Okay.
on something risky at that moment. You might feel a little worried or cautious. Thank you, Kamal. Agnes, you feel great and thankful for myself for daring to try. Yes, lazy. Okay, I get that, Sumin Vai. Yeah. And Norshida, you should have been more careful. You should have been more careful. Oh my goodness. And Yershan, you feel comfortable. Okay, well, let's look at the models and you can
Oh
see
my
where
goodness,
you
she said.
are. Yeah.
All right.
Curious. Okay, Nixon, here we go. So traditional male model. Okay, let's just try it. We'll see how it goes. If it doesn't work, I'll try something else. It's a game. And the game in this part is called trial and error. And it's not very stressful, you'll notice. Well, in the traditional female model, if you've never done something before, it means you have no evidence that you can do it. And how will I look if I fail? What if it's not perfect? And there's lots of stress and anxiety. So, all of us who said we feel nervous or a little anxious or a little worried, we're in the traditional female model. If we take it as a
Interesting.
game, then we can see that it's more traditional male model. Now, obviously, here, the traditional male model is less stressful, but you can get arrogant. So I've never done it before. We'll just see what happens. And that's when people go too far in that direction and they dissociate themselves from the consequences. They go, we'll just see it, clean up the mess if there's a mess, who cares? Whereas in the traditional female model, there's more stress and worry, but there's more concern about doing it right. And you can see there's, sorry, it went too far. Here's a suggestion. If you want to lower your stress when you're doing something new, if you feel stressed or anxious, think about all the things you've done in the past that are a piece of the new thing that you have to do now. All the things you've done in your past that are at least some way towards the new thing that you're doing now. This will lower your stress because you've had successes in the past.
So does it mean, Shelley, that I'm operating more of a female model?
In this particular one, yes, but all of the
Interesting.
elements could be different. In this
Of
particular
course,
one, yes.
in this context. Okay, interesting.
Mhm.
Okay.
When you're
All
going to do
right.
something you've never done before, and you'll see as we go through these differences. Now, the second question that I didn't get a chance to ask you was, how do you react, or what do you say to yourself if you make a mistake? If you want to just write in, what do you say to yourself when at work? You're at work and you make a mistake. What do you say? How do you
So
talk to yourself when you make a mistake?
Sheila was saying like I should have been more careful. That was one we have here. So
Yeah.
yeah, guys, what are you saying to yourself if you what was the question mess up, so to speak, no?
Yeah, that's right.
I
So
would
Agnes, you said when you made a mistake, I know this is not the path. I'll try another path. So yeah, okay, that's interesting. Failure is
I
part of the process. Yeah.
I curse and
Okay.
swear.
Anybody else? What do you
I
say to
personally
yourself?
curse and swear and jump around and say
Learn,
words
relearn,
which
and
I
move
can't
forward.
announce
I
publicly.
feel terrible for a while, and then I have to slap myself and get over it and fix it. Yeah.
That's
Anybody
it.
else feel terrible? Yeah.
Oh,
So
Nixon saying one
Nixon,
step
you're
nearer to success.
optimistic. Yeah. So
Cool.
difference
Anyway,
number 5. How do you respond when you make a mistake or if you receive criticism? So let's look and see. Oh, Yerjan, you're talking about the game. We know where that is. And Nadja, oh shit. How do I repair this? Yeah, I get that feeling too. So in the traditional classroom model, if you make a mistake or you get criticized, you tend to feel terrible. You know, my niece is a lawyer, and a couple of years ago, her boss wasn't all that happy with how she was drafting these specialized reports she was doing and offered to get her a writing coach. Well, she experienced this as high level criticism and worried for months that she was going to lose her job because she thought, oh, he's telling me I'm no good at my job. Hear that? I'm no good at my job. So she was totally operating out of the traditional female model. And the stress lasted for a long time. And she felt she was personally being negatively evaluated, right? With the traditional male model, I didn't expect it to be perfect. I'm only doing good enough anyway. So they don't take it personally. It's okay. I'll fix it. So you can see Hoi Chen Yen Chan, a lesson learned, but no big deal, right? So you can see, depends on your emotional reaction. Now, once you know this, of course, you can be okay about being upset and then get on and fix it, which is what most people do anyway. But wouldn't it be interesting to zoom out and say, well, mistakes happen. People make mistakes. I'm not perfect. Didn't expect to be perfect. I'll fix it. What have I learned from this? Oh, that's interesting. I made a mistake. What did I learn from this? So you can go back and forth. One of the things about the traditional female model, it definitely shows you care, but sometimes you care so much you get down on yourself, right? So the research shows that women are more self critical than men. I don't believe that is a surprise to anyone. There we go. So lower the stress, zoom out, step back. How is this mistake useful for me? How can I use this information? A lot of you talked about new opportunities and lessons and moving on. That's exactly the kind of question. Number 6, difference number 6, competition versus cooperation. In the traditional male model, it's all about winning the game and getting what you want. So as a leader or as a player, you tend to see the other people as your opponents, and it's more competitive. So you'll see people in the male model sometimes undercut each other. You'll see people operating out of the male model when they talk to their friends, we'll call them fat bastard and things like this. It's very competitive and one-upmanship. In the traditional female model, working is more cooperative. Bosses tend to sit at the side of the table and set up a we are working together. Now, the exception is in what I call the pre-feminist environment. You know, in my mind, this is an opinion without any specific research. There's 3 generations of women: pre-feminist, feminist, and post-feminist. And in the pre-feminist generations, the only way women could get any power was by making sure they were attached to men, and they wanted to make sure that other women didn't get that chance. And this is the group of people who have a concept called a frenemy. A frenemy is someone you pretend is your friend, but as we say in German, Schadenfreude, we're really kind of happy when something bad happens to them, or we don't want them to be too successful. So pre-feminist times, feminist and post-feminist, it tends to be more cooperative, and that's one of the differences. And this is one of the things that we see evolving in corporations. The traditional female values of cooperating with the team and building together in harmony is now being seen as a valuable attribute in leadership, for sure. Partnering. So the decisions between competing with each other or giving each other a leg up. Right. So I just want to remind everybody, let's zoom out. It's only about the models. There's drawbacks and benefits to each model. And the point of doing this is to see where you are and where other people are so that you understand what's motivating them and what's driving them. Yeah. Yeah, Nixon, I really feel for you too. Nixon is saying, I feel physical pain from criticism, especially when you spend a lot of effort, right? And you can see, Nixon, you're really talking about a context. That context, you step into the traditional female model, you put your heart and soul into it, you put a lot of effort into it. It's not a game anymore. But when it's a game, you go, oh, okay, so got my hand slapped, or it wasn't perfect. So you can see we go back and forth sometimes between these two models. So, difference number 7, as a leader, do you want to be respected or liked? Now, of course, everybody will say,
Oh,
I want to be respected. We all say that, don't we? In the traditional male model, if getting ahead is important and getting the job done helps you get ahead, then you got to make sure you have credibility and people respect you, right? So that's the job. In the traditional female model, because authentic relationships that are real are important, they end up acting, they end up going for needing to be liked. But the question is, how can you tell? And one big tell is, can you have those difficult conversations with someone? Can you give someone a piece of feedback they may not want to hear? Can you bring up those challenging conversations? And if you stop yourself from doing this because you don't want to hurt someone's feelings or you don't want them to not like you, that's because you care about the relationship, and it's very hard to do something that's going to hurt someone. But if you don't care quite as much about the relationship, but you're trying to get the job done and you're trying to climb the ladder, then it's the other one. Any comments to that? I want to know if anybody disagrees with this. Any objections, hesitations, or reservations?
yeah, let's hear it, guys. You know, what happens? Do you want to be respected or do you want to be liked? Let's share in the comments which one is more important to you, respect or liked? So that Shelle knows exactly how you respond, how she can respond and decide where you once again. Participation. And Shelle, are we good on time still? Because I do know participation is important, but I think you are also having not that much time available. So guys, hey, if you want to hear some
We've
more
got a
from
few
her,
more minutes left. Yeah, respected and
okay.
recognized, not necessarily liked. Okay,
Okay, let
thanks,
me know when
Johan.
you want to wrap up and then we are going to talk about something else. So you let me know how we are standing, yeah?
Yeah. Okay, we're going through. One of the pieces of research nobody wants to hear is that being nice leads to lower income.
Ui.
However, that's in the short term, because research is also showing that leaders who want to be both liked and respected with their teams, and that means doing the hard stuff as well as being very encouraging with your team, means that in the team there are more positive emotions and better results. So there's a number of pieces of research that are showing that when a leader can do both, it's actually better for the team and the results. Difference number 8. Let's just go through these last ones a little bit quicker, and you can see where you are. How do you decide how you behave at work? Well, some people go, what kind of question is that? I don't decide how I behave. I am who I am. And sure enough, authenticity is important. And in the traditional female model, it's based on who I am. Like, I take me or leave me, right? I want authentic relationships. In the traditional male model, if I need something and somebody wants me to behave differently, I'll adapt. So, where are you on that? You adapt to get what you want, or you are who you are. I am who I am, or I adapt. We'll see what people say. You can make a comment.
Please, do you want to be adapted or you want to be... Repeat the question, Shelle? There's somebody
Um,
at the door on my
yeah, I
side.
am. How do you decide how to behave at work? I am who I am, take it or leave it. I'm not going to be hypocritical. Or I figure out what the other person wants and I adapt because I want to get stuff.
So Nixon is saying respect and don't reject. Natra says adapt to get what I want. John is saying respect it. Sheila is saying respect is very important to me.
Okay. Yeah. So here's another thing is that studies show that women have a greater commitment to negotiating in great faith because being honest and trustworthy is very important, and they're less likely to excuse or rationalize unethical behavior. Now, in this environment over the last few years, we've got lots of whistleblowers who are saying, hey, there's people cheating here. A lot of the whistleblowers in some of the biggest financial scandals are women. Yeah. And of course, there are, Andreas, there is some background noise in where you are. Andreas, there's a lot of background noise where you are. Yeah.
I know I had somebody from DHL just coming in here.
Okay. So you can see if you zoom out, there's chances going to become conflict between these models when you look at all these differences. In the traditional male model, they're going to look at the other people and say, well, you're so naive. And the people in the traditional female model, you're manipulative and hypocritical, because we can take both of these things too far. And this shows up in leadership style. Ask or tell, more hierarchical or more egalitarian. And here's one of the challenges that are still valid today. Asia, Europe, the Americas, men are given credibility. It's assumed they're credible. They stand at the front of the room, everybody thinks they're credible. Now, they can lose credibility if they say something stupid, but women still have to earn credibility. When you go to present to a group that doesn't know you, they're sitting there going, does she know their stuff? Who is she anyway? Prove to me that you know something. So that's one of the things that one of the upshots with these models is that still today you've got to prove your credibility, right? Because you can be getting what I like to call a banana peel. And a banana peel is when someone says to you something that detracts or takes away from your presentation, and you have to know how to handle those. And that happens more to women than to men. Right. So this is why one of the programs that I've developed is something called Boost Your Credibility. So you can text me or message me if you'd like to have that. It's a free online training called Boost Your Credibility. Let me know if you're interested. On my LinkedIn page, you can connect with me and just send me a message, and my office will send you a link for signing up to that. So difference number 10, we're on the very last one now. What is your approach to your career? Well, traditional male model, the metaphor for career is a ladder or steps and stairs where you get more responsibility, more pay, a better title. And in the traditional female model, it's not about a ladder. It's about getting closer and closer to your life's mission, something that is profoundly meaningful. And this is where when you're looking at how do people describe what happens when they're successful, well, out of the traditional female model, if they're busy fulfilling their life's mission or making a contribution, they say things like, well, I got lucky, or my team is responsible for that. And they hardly ever say, well, I'm really good at this. And it means that they're not promoting themselves. They have a great deal of reluctance to promote yourself. And as you saw at the very beginning of this presentation, if you are trying to be perfect and you're not taking credit, there's zero guarantee that anyone will know how good you are if you don't know how to promote yourself, right? So when my friend said to me, so why didn't you list all the things that you had contributed? It had never occurred to me. But you know what? No one remembers what anyone else is doing. None of your clients remember the wonderful coaching you did for them. You need to be able to have them realize where they came from and where they got to, and that you were instrumental in helping them succeed, whether it's in financial planning, insurance, helping your team as a leader, working with your training groups. If they don't from time to time take stock about where they were and where they are, they will never remember that you were the one that helped them, right? And that's why I realized when I hadn't listed all the things I had contributed as a board member in the angel investor group, I didn't do any of my own self-promotion. I was just expecting to do the hard work and be recognized without me doing anything about it. And so what's your approach to getting recognized, to be promotable, to get more business, et cetera? So that's a question I want to leave with you. What is your approach? Right. I'm just going to go through this. Coming up. Leadership and performance. You know, if people were inspired by your mission, again, you're going to be able to succeed at both of those things. The problem is not in the model. The problem is if we get stuck in one model or the other when it's not appropriate. And I'm saying zoom out and mind the model, because now you can be aware of when you're operating out of traditional female model, when you're operating out of traditional male model, when you want to mix it up or change how you're functioning. It's all up to you. And one of the reasons, and I know, Andreas, you wanted to ask me this question, why did I start looking into this? Well, we never learned in school or at home that different strokes for different folks, that people operate out of different models. They get motivated in how they think differently, and they make decisions differently, and they communicate differently. So this is why I got into this business all together in the first place, is we need to be able to understand this so that we can have great authentic communication and get results. So I just want to pause here for a moment. What's one insight that you got from today that you want to share with the group? If you can type it into the chat. What's one insight that you want to share?
That is a great conclusion. First of all, thank you, Shelle. And of course, over to the audience. What is a great insight? Let's share it in the comment section that Shelle knows that some of the messages come through. I think it's a ton of material she has learned here. I know that I have to revisit all that you've shown here to really digest it in detail. But really, I would like to know from you guys here, from the people who are watching, and we have got a really great stock of about 20 people, 19 people consecutively watching. Nobody dropped out. At least I didn't see the numbers dropping at all. So we were really, really stable. That means really, yeah. And we have some comments already. Shelle, can you see this, or shall I read it to you?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Go ahead and read it. Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Yerson is saying a very applicable concept. Is that the answer you want to have? What is something you have learned? Yes, Dr. Yerson, in what sense is it applicable to you?
And so Najwa, you're thinking, you're operating more out of the male model. And this is interesting when you're in couples too. It can be on a bit of a lever. One goes more male, the other goes more female. So that's something you can talk about in your couple if you want.
Oh man, I'm in trouble here, is it? You see more than me. I don't see any comments just now popping up. So when you see something more, Shelle, please repeat it, read it out.
I just want to, oh, here they come now.
Oh, here they come, yeah. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, Norshita, I'm seeing the comments. Norshita, now I understand why I'm uncomfortable speaking about my contributions or successes, etc. Yes, absolutely. But if you don't do it, Norshita, nobody is going to remember what you did. And think about how frustrating that's going to be, right? It doesn't mean you need to brag. It means simply that you need to let people know what you've been doing, right?
Humbly letting it out.
Yeah. Male and female metaphor, male big picture, female meticulous and detailed perfectionist. Yeah, that can happen. The traditional male and traditional female models. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, if this was interesting to you and you want to do more about what is driving people at an unconscious level, I'd like to share my screen again, Andreas, please. This is the kind of work that I've been doing with organizations and training trainers and consultants to use these techniques. And this is just one of the set of techniques. The other set of techniques you can read about in Words That Change Minds are useful in all of these areas. And wanted to let you know, I'll be running the Lab Profile Consultant Trainer Coach live online certification March through April, 3 days times 3 weeks, so 9 days total. And if you are an ICF coach, you will also get 48 ICF continuing education credits in this program. And I'll give you the link where you can find out the information on the program. But this is a program similar to what Andreas has already taken with me and that Yerjan has taken as well. So if you can see these, I've put up a QR code. So either take a screenshot on your computer or take a picture of it with your iPhone, with your phone, and it'll take you to labprofilecertification.com. I wonder if you can put that link in, Andreas, for everyone.
Oops, I
If you
can't
want to
do
know
this right now.
information about how you can be a trainer of these kinds of distinctions and
I
in-depth
can't
learning.
bring the link up right now, Shelley, but I believe, okay, either DM me, send me a personal message, or send it to Shelley
Okay, let me
directly.
just see if I can add it in the chat.
Present. Okay, or send
www.
it in the chat as well, absolutely. Please
Yeah,
add in
lab
as much as you can in
profile,
the chat. And as
lab,
you do, Shelley, let me just share something. If I can, let me just
please.
share something of how powerful I believe the lab profile is. We always try to change certain behaviors. And let me share a story with a client of mine, for example, who was he was promoted, going from manager to leader. And when I interviewed him via the lab profile, we realized very, very, very quickly that he was very thing oriented. He loved to sit behind his Excel spreadsheet. And what was happening is, even in the interview, he said like he's at his best when he can do Excel spreadsheets and typing the numbers. But dealing with people, he said like, I suck totally. He was honestly working on this one, and it was just one major profile. We don't need to change the person. We just need to work on one mental pattern that that holds the person back in accelerating and getting up to the next level. Lab profile helped me to understand a lot of people, my clients, my coaches, businesses overall. Hey, even the world's situation. Donald Trump to Biden to even the Malaysian prime ministers along that line. So it's really highly recommendable for you guys. Shelley,
So
over to
for
you
you to
back
have,
again.
thank you very much, Andreas. I put in the wrong one and then I put in the right one in the chat, labprofilecertification.com. And there's some videos there. We've really added a lot to this program. If you're interested in also getting into digital trainings, we have a platform. The first year is included in this program where you can offer our already high quality pre-recorded trainings and get your own learning platform that you can brand to your business so that you can offer training or digital training and consulting to your clients. And you can co-brand with your clients all on separate portals. And it's easy to use. If I can do it, you can do it. And we'll set it all up for you. So all you have to do is just start using it.
Shelley, you can also take the chance later on to delete the wrong link. Once we've done that video interview done, you can just delete that link so that people follow the right link ultimately.
Okay, that's great. Or if, yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, hey, we are slightly above 1 hour. Shelley gave me 1 hour. I do know, hey, this lady, guys, please, 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 please give her a lot of likes one more time. This lady is incredibly busy. I was jumping around like a little rabbit when she says like I'm going for this interview, but I give you 1 hour, and I thought like, whoa, 1 hour is always hard for me. I'm very specific sometimes, and I like to squeeze her brain to get as much knowledge as I can along that. I give her tons of likes for spending this 1 hour plus
I think
plus.
my brain is squeezed. What do you think? Are we squeezed? Yeah.
You look good as usual. Yes, thank you very much for all the likes that are coming in right now. Shelley, thank you so much for this awesome time spent. We surely discuss a little bit more as I'm in Germany
Andrea,
here, or Messenger and all that stuff. So
thank you, everybody. It was great to be with you. Thank you so much, Andreas, for the invitation. Nice to see you again. And thank you, everybody, for your active participation. Things to think about. So please link with me on LinkedIn. You can find me under my name, naturally. And hope to see you again soon. And let me know what you do with the material. I'm very curious to know what happens. Yeah.
So I don't hold you back. If you want to switch off and close off, I'm okay with it. I talk to you via Facebook Messenger at a later stage, or if you want to
Okay,
hang on
that's
for the
great.
rest.
I have to go, everybody. I actually am doing another speaking engagement not in about an hour, and I need obviously to prepare not only my hair but the rest of me. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Shelley. And I continue talking a little bit about the show that comes next, because something else is coming, okay? This time it will be on a Wednesday. So Shelle has left us now. This time it will be on a Wednesday evening, because on a Thursday evening on November 24th, I have something on. I'll still be in Germany, but I'm going to talk to Dr. Joseph O'Connor. I think he's a doctor, but otherwise I'm just Joseph O'Connor. You'll find this guy available in bookshops. He wrote tons of books about NLP leadership, NLP for trainers, introduction to NLP in whatever, I think 5 or 6 different books, and I have managed to secure his time. We're going to talk to each other. It will be the same time again for you in Malaysia, 8:30 in the evening time, for me here at 2:30 in the afternoon. He's an awesome guy. I really look forward to speaking to him. And until then, for the rest of you here right now, thank you so very much for having had the time with me, spend the evening with me. Annalisa, Nixon, Najwan, Sheila, Jessica, Robin, John, Dr. Yershin, and all those who were with me in this interview. Thank you very much. Enjoy your evening, and bye-bye. Good night and bye-bye. Take care.